I always believed my life followed a calm, familiar rhythm, not boring, just settled. After 25 years of marriage, things find their shape, their routine. Sophia and I had built our own kind of quiet harmony. Morning coffee brewed the same way every day, a quick call around lunchtime, dinners together, and a glass of wine shared while the evening news murmured in the background. It wasn't glamorous, but it was real. Ours. Something we built over years, not with grand gestures, but with steady presence and comfort. Even after both our kids had gone off to college, and the house fell into a softer, more echoing quiet, we filled the spaces with old habits. The silence was sometimes haunting, but we leaned on familiar jokes. Touches we no longer needed to think about, and stories we'd told each other 100 times. I truly thought we understood one another better than anyone else ever could. Maybe. That belief itself was the first thing I took for granted. It was a Thursday evening when everything changed. We were sitting on the couch, the television glowing quietly in the background, the sound muted. A scene no different from countless others before it. She was holding the remote, but something about the way her fingers gripped it too tightly pulled at my attention. Without warning, she turned to me, her voice cautious, but oddly steady. "Can I ask you something without you freaking out?" I chuckled, lightly. That was her signature way of introducing one of her odd little tangents. Something quirky she'd been turning over in her head. I didn't think anything of it. "Sure," I said, smiling, curious but calm. She let out a short, nervous laugh, then hesitated. "Just hear me out, okay?" I nodded, unaware that the air between us had already started to shift. Took a slow breath, her knuckles whitening around the remote. "What would you think about opening our marriage?" I blinked, not entirely grasping what she meant at first. I even laughed, expecting her to break into a grin and explain it was a joke, but there was no smile. Her face was too still, too serious. I felt something cold crawl slowly up my spine. "Wait, what do you mean by that?" Sophia shifted, turning. To face me, crossing her arms like she was bracing for an argument. Like a hall pass, or something we try together. Nothing serious, just explore a little. That word explored landed in my chest like a stone, heavy, tightening. "You're serious?" I asked, struggling to keep my voice steady. "I'm not saying we have to," she said quickly. "Just that we could talk about it. That's all." My pulse thundered in my ears, but I forced myself to breathe slowly. "Where is this coming from?" She looked away, her jaw tight. "We've been together a long time, Bruce. I love you. I do. But maybe we've gotten too used to each other." My hands curled into fists in my lap. "You mean you're bored?" "That's not what I said, but it's what you meant. I just want to feel something different, not instead of you. With you, I want us to experience something new, together." I couldn't look at her. My eyes locked on the flickering screen in front of us, colors moving without purpose or sound. That night, I lay beside her in the dark, staring at the ceiling while her breathing remained steady and calm, as though she hadn't just cracked the foundation of our life open with a single conversation. Her words circled in my head, like a broken record. "Open our marriage." The phrase repeated until it became unbearable. I gave it a few days. Maybe she'd bring it up again, laugh awkwardly, chalk it up to a glass too many or a passing fantasy. But she never mentioned it. Instead, she acted like the words had vanished, like nothing had happened, like she hadn't just ignited a fire. She expected me to put out alone. By Sunday afternoon, I couldn't hold it in. We were in the kitchen, loading the dishwasher, and I closed it just a little too hard. She glanced up. "You okay?" "No," I said flatly. She leaned against the counter and folded her arms again. That posture closed off. Defensive was becoming a pattern. "It's still bothering you," she said, more a statement than a question. "Of course it is." My voice sharpened, edged with frustration. "You asked me if we should sleep with other people? That's not something you toss out casually." She sighed, like she was already tired of the conversation. "It was just an idea, Bruce. We don't have to turn it into something huge." I stepped closer, my jaw tight. "You suggested bringing strangers into our marriage." After 25 years, that's not a passing thought, Sophia. That's not just an idea, that's a bomb. She narrowed her eyes. You're being dramatic. I swallowed the heat in my throat, being honest. You want me to watch you with someone else? Pretend I'm okay with it? Not what I said, she shot back, but her voice was brittle now. You said we could experience it together. What does that even mean? She hesitated, glancing away before finally muttering, People do this, Bruce. It's not the end of the world. For me it is, I said quietly. We stood in silence, the space between us colder than it had ever felt. That was the moment I knew something inside her had shifted, or maybe it had been shifting for years, and I'd been too blind to see it. In the days that followed, the signs became harder to ignore. Her phone buzzed constantly. New perfume lingered in the air. She began dressing up for ordinary errands. There were gym visits that left no sweat. That smile, the one that wasn't meant for me, the private one. One night she fell asleep. On the couch, her laptop still open beside her. Screensaver hadn't kicked in. I wasn't trying to pry, but I glanced down and froze. Forums, profiles, private messages, words that slapped me in the chest. Partner swaps, invite-only events, dress code, red. Then I saw it. Can't wait to meet in person. Saturday night. That Saturday, she descended the stairs in a red dress I hadn't seen in over a decade. Her hair curled just right, lips painted, her entire posture radiant. She looked beautiful and unreachable. Big night? I asked, my voice tight. She smiled like it was nothing. Yeah, actually, there's a party tonight. Something different. Wait. Kind of party? She met my eyes. A swingers party. I felt my world collapse inward. If you walk out that door tonight, I whispered, we're done. No coming back. She paused, studied me, and then walked past like I hadn't spoken at all. She returned just before 2 a.m. I heard the garage creak open, her keys drop into the bowl like any normal night. She moved through the kitchen as though she'd come back from a movie with friends, not from burning down the life we built. You're still up? She asked casually. I didn't respond. She waited. When I said nothing, she let out a breath of mild annoyance and walked away. I sat frozen, my mind spiraling. At some point, I picked up my phone to distract myself. I wasn't looking for anything, just scrolling. Then I opened the photo gallery out of habit. There, they were snapshots of our life. Our kids, when they were small. Birthday cake, a wine-stained dinner in Rome, then a video, unlabeled. Just a time stamp. 2 hours earlier, my breath caught. The phone had synced to the cloud automatically. She hadn't remembered. The thumbnail made my heart drop. A dim hotel room, red ambient lighting, and her wrist bare except for the bracelet I gave her for our 15th anniversary. I tapped play. Her face filled the screen, smiling, flushed, tipsy. Film this for me, she said to someone behind the lens. I want to remember it. She stepped back, revealing more 3 men, shirtless, surrounding her, their hands all over her like she was theirs. She laughed. She kissed them. Glowed. She whispered something that made one of them pull her close. She looked alive in a way I hadn't seen in years. Not once did she seem like someone with a husband, a family, a life that mattered. I stopped the video. I couldn't watch more. The next morning, I came out of the guest room with eyes dry but spirit hollow. She stood in the kitchen pouring coffee. Humming like it was any other day, she smiled when she saw me. Morning. I figured we could take a drive later, maybe lunch by the lake. I didn't answer. She blinked, then faltered. What? I sat at the table, placed my phone in front of me. Sit, I said. She hesitated, then sat. Recognition flickered across her face. The cloud, the sync. The video too late. I opened the file and let it play. She said nothing, just stared as the screen replayed her betrayal, her laughter, her pleasure. When it ended, I turned off the phone and looked at her. I didn't know it would upload. She whispered, I don't care, I said. You still did it, and you smiled while you did. She reached for me, tears rising. I pulled away. Made a mistake, she said, voice cracking. I just wanted something new, I didn't mean to hurt you. No, I said, standing. You didn't make a mistake. You made a plan. She stepped in my path, panicked now. Please don't. Do this. We have a family, a life. You can't throw it all away over one night. I stared past her. You threw it away when you walked out that door. That night I drove. I didn't care where. My phone buzzed endlessly with calls and messages from her. All the same. Apologies, justifications, desperate attempts. The one that stuck. It didn't mean anything, but I had seen the video. I had seen her smile. Around 3 a.m., I parked near a quiet park, the same one where we used to take our kids. I sat there for a long time, watching the breeze dance with the streetlights. Then, I picked up my phone and sent one final message. There's nothing left to say. I'll be filing in the morning. Then I blocked her. It felt like coming up for air. After being underwater for far too long, the next day, I walked into my lawyer's office, a flash drive in hand. That video said everything I couldn't. I wasn't seeking revenge. I just wanted peace. I canceled the credit cards, changed the locks, packed her things, and left them outside. When she returned and saw them, she said nothing. She just gathered what she could and left. Months passed. The house was quieter, but it wasn't empty. It was peaceful. One afternoon, I found myself laughing on a steep laughter. My neighbor Dean stopped me while I was at the curb. Hey, Bruce, I should have told you sooner. I used to see Sophia getting picked up by a guy in a black car. Same guy. Couple times a week. I nodded. You didn't do anything wrong. And just like that, something settled. It hadn't started that night. At the hotel, she had been gone a long time. The party was just when she stopped pretending. That evening, I sat on the porch. My porch. I watched the sun dip below the houses, and for the first time in years, I didn't feel lonely. I felt free.